so by chance, do you remember VR in 2021? Considered one of the biggest years for VR, 2021 was a pretty pivotal year. The Oculus Quest 2 came out in October the previous year, and even if you didn't own a Quest 2 or hated anything to do with Meta, known as Facebook at the time, it was hard to deny that the Quest 2 was basically carrying VR, especially since the Quest 2 was 78% of the VR market, which is insane. According to IDC, a market analyst, AR and VR headset shipments hit 11.2 million units in 2021, which was up 92% from the year prior. And I'm sure that if you're watching this video and you like VR, then you must have some memories of VR from 2021. I know for me, I remember buying the Quest 2 and being able to play a ton of different games, like 11 table tennis, Beat Saber, and a little bit of Gorilla Tag depending on the day. With Oculus Link and software like Virtual Desktop, a lot of the success seen in the standalone VR scene bleeded into the PCVR scene as well. The highest amount of Steam users that had used a VR headset was 2.31%, which, surprise surprise, was in May 2021. This point in time was basically like a renaissance for VR, and as we all know how it goes, it didn't last long. Looking at the Steam hardware survey today, we see that the percentage of Steam users with VR headsets has dropped down all the way to 1.64%. Which, while that's only a 0.7% decrease, it's still a lot for this tiny community. As you can kind of see, PCVR has been pretty stagnant from 2021 to now. But here's why I think that this period of time is going to be ending soon, hopefully. Maybe. First of all, I think the biggest thing that you're probably thinking of yourself is Steam Frame, which is Valve's most recent attempt at reviving VR with their own VR headset. Valve's dedicated entrance into the VR scene with the Valve Index was sort of a mini renaissance for the VR scene as well, since it brought many people to VR and brought many different games, biggest of all being Half-Life Alyx, a headset that's going to be much cheaper than the Valve Index and much more plug and play than that one. I don't think it'd be too far-fetched to say that the Steam Frame might bring another renaissance to PCVR, or VR in general. While yes, it is a standalone headset that supports PCVR, it does seem like from their interviews that they're trying to make it more PCVR focused than the former. After all, it doesn't have a VR focused Snapdragon processor, and the battery life makes it pretty hard to play any game natively for more than an hour. If you're like me and you're still holding out hope that Half-Life 3 exists and it's going to be a VR and PC game, then I feel like that could also bring some people into VR, kinda like what Half-Life Alyx did. I think it's also helpful that Valve is framing this headset as PCVR but without the PCVR pain, if that makes sense. There's no cables, no annoying room setup or anything like that. You just put the headset on, you scroll through your Steam library, and then you're in the game, whether wirelessly streamed or standalone. There's not as much friction like you saw with previous VR headsets. Next up, I want to talk about the Bigscreen Beyond 2, which was a headset that was announced last year, but I only just now received it. After about a week or two of trying it out, it's been a great experience. I mean, the OLEDs are great, and the weight is something that I would have never expected to be possible 10 years ago when I used the HTC Vive. It does have its issues like glare in dark areas, or how sweat builds up pretty easily between your face and the lenses, but overall I would definitely recommend it if you'd like a premium, light, PCVR focused experience. I might make a video in the future reviewing it, but for now just know that I really like it. In the Steam hardware survey, the Bigscreen Beyond has been climbing slowly but surely, and I'm sure that once they can get their shipping sorted and be able to ship within a few business days rather than a few months, it'll be able to climb up even more, surpassing the PSVR 2 or Quest Pro. I think the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is a return to the PCVR scene, basically showing the best of the best that they can offer, and in turn I think that will lead to more people using the headsets. The Quest 3 is good and all, but for $1,000 you can get a lighter headset with OLED displays and sharper optics. I know for me personally, I got the Quest 3 a week or two before I got the Bigscreen Beyond 2, and it was a night and day difference in favor of the Beyond 2, so much so that I'd much rather pay $1,000 for that experience than half that for the Quest 3. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a headset that's as comfortable as the Beyond 2, unless you count that classic Google Cardboard thing. Good times, huh? And the fact that there's still so much demand and hype for the Bigscreen Beyond 2 shows that there is definitely an audience for actually good PCVR headsets, even if they're costly. Next up, I want to talk about whatever Pimax is currently doing. At CES, they showed off a bit more of the Pimax Dream Air, which is a light 8K headset that looks similar to the Vision Pro and also has eye tracking and can be both standalone or tethered depending on which one you buy. It also has micro OLED displays, which as someone who's used the Vision Pro's micro OLED displays are a beaut, especially when watching content or playing games. Of course, this is Pimax, so all of the Pimax issues are coming with this headset, so I do advise you to be careful if you are thinking of buying the Dream Air. Also, it's $2,000 if you just want the tethered version, and $2,300 if you want the standalone version. Which is insane, don't get me wrong, but the spec sheet is really interesting. I think being able to fit all these different things like the micro OLED displays and eye tracking into this tiny little form factor is impressive to say the least. If you're thinking about getting this headset, then let me know in the comments, and when you do end up getting it, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Anyways though, back to the topic at hand, I think the PCVR scene is shaping up to have some pretty heavy hitters this next year or two. However, just because we have some nice headsets on the way, it doesn't solely mean that we're going to have a VR renaissance anytime soon. Of course, when you have a VR headset, you want to play games, and there's not many AAA VR games getting released nowadays, let alone any PCVR exclusive games. I think with VR as a whole, it's kind of like a chicken and egg problem where you need more people playing VR so that developers can make more games for it, but you also need more VR games so that people can pick up their old VR headsets or buy new ones. It's tough, and I'm definitely not the person to be providing any solutions to this, but I do feel like once it does get solved, then PCVR and VR in general will get a resurgence in popularity. I think the three biggest things that are drawing the general public away from PCVR as a whole is price, comfort, and games. With the Steam Frame and Bigscreen Beyond 2, I feel like they're trying to lower the barrier of entry to high-end VR, and trying to solve at least one or two of these issues. So while it might take a long while for PCVR to ever be massively adopted, it's definitely making a comeback in terms of capability and ease of use, mostly thanks to the lightweight Beyond 2, the hybrid Steam Frame, and the impressive spec sheet Pimax Dream Air. Time will definitely tell if I'm right about any of this, and if you're watching this video 10 years from now, then let me know in the comments just how wrong I was. Or you can also just let me know now, I guess that works too. Anyways, if you enjoyed, then you're obligated to subscribe and even like. Around these parts, it's basically illegal if you don't do both, so just saying. Alright, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and take care.